Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John coming to you from the Grove at All Saints Orthodox Church, Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. Continuing to talk about the Stylites today, I want to talk to you about St. Luke, the new Stylite. He's the kind of Stylite that less is known about his life than the other greater Stylites, but what we do know is valuable information. For example, Luke was a soldier in the Byzantine army in the 10th century, and in the year 917, he was involved in the campaign, the battle against Bulgaria, and that was a horrible battle. I mean, all war is horrible, but it was a horrible battle in that it was very bloody. People around him were dying, thousands and thousands of men, and he himself was preserved. He lived through the battle and really considered that this was God protecting him for something greater. And so he decided that something greater was to be a monk. Well, so Luke left the army, he left the battlefield, and he went and he became a monk. After a few years of living in the monastery, he received a blessing to begin to live as a Stylite. So I don't think there's a name for it, but I call him a chained Stylite, in that he wrapped himself with chains. He wrapped chains around himself, and I think in order to remind himself of the imprisonment of sin. You know, that why do we do ascetical feats? Well, we do it because we're trying to learn to deny ourselves and to take up our cross to follow Christ in order that we can be released from the bondage of sin. So that's why he climbs up there, right? Because he desires something greater. He desires release. So he ascends this column, wrapped in chains, and he lives up there for a time. And then he receives the call from God to go to Mount Olympus. He lived there for a while, and then again in Constantinople. The whole period between the war in the battle in 1917 and the time that he ends up going to Calcidon, this time is 18 years. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how long he was spending in each place, generally speaking. Then he comes to Calcidon, and when he gets to Calcidon, he finds himself a nice pillar, or builds himself, actually it doesn't say, finds or builds himself a nice pillar, and he ascends to the top of that pillar where he remains for 45 years. Saint Luke, the new Stylite of Calcidon, received the gift of wonder working, and so many would come and would visit and would receive healing through his prayers and intercessions. St. Luke, we are told, died peacefully around the year 980 in Calcidon. So our hope and our prayer is that we too will see our life as a gift. We'll see God preserving us on the left and on the right. We'll see God guiding and directing our steps to greater heights, to a greater experience of the spiritual life in our relationship with Christ, that will do whatever it is that it takes, whatever he calls us to do, in order to grow in our relationship with him and our love for him and for our neighbor. St. Luke, the new Stylite, pray unto God for us. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.